Welcome to Audacity Works, a podcast inspired by and dedicated to the working artist, the creative entrepreneur, and generally, doing the damn thing. This exists on the premise that the world belongs to those who have the audacity to believe that their lives have value. This is for you. Welcome to Audacity Works. I'm your host, Rachel Strickland, and this is episode number 185, and it is about how my OG Coven formed. And the reason that I want to tell this story today is because if you follow me on socials, you'll no doubt have seen this. One of my OG Coven sisters, Kim, died suddenly and unexpectedly at the age of 42 last week, and it was a very big shock to all of us. And I've been thinking of her and my first coven and just wanting to share that story of how we met and how we came together. I also want to take a second to tell you that this week is the last week of the Audacity project ever, in the way that it exists right now. It'll be a DIY course in the future. So as you can imagine, I'm having feelings, and I'm okay with that. I wanted to, before we get into the meat of the episode, talk a little bit about grief. I found out that we lost Kim on a Tuesday. She died Monday morning. The rest of us found out on Tuesday morning, and I worked Tuesday as normal, which was kind of good for me to just have an anchor. I taught class, I had calls with my students, and then I did the same thing the next day. I don't usually take calls on Wednesday, but it had been a reschedule from when I was sick the week before. But by the end of Wednesday, and squeezing my grief into bouts of crying between client calls and student calls, it was it was good on Tuesday, and it was fine today, and now I need to stop and give my grief my full attention. It cannot just keep fitting in between dentist appointments and shit. So I canceled everything on Thursday, and I had 6 calls scheduled. It was going to be a very busy day and an interview. Very unceremoniously, I didn't ask. I just sent the link I'm sorry, you'll need to reschedule. Thank you for understanding. This is why. And of course I said why. And after that, I was able to just be a person on Thursday, and I expected nothing of myself. Friday, I went to Edisto to be alone. I did seek solitude, but I also sought connection. I kept in touch with my friends, with my local coven, and I talked about her, and I also sought time by myself. The thing about grief that I have learned, or for how I experience it, is that it's always a surprise. You never know exactly how it's going to be, but grief will have her way with you. And it's not a bad thing. That's just what I realized on Wednesday night after I got off my last call, and I was I absolutely cannot do this tomorrow. So I canceled everything and turned my attention to my grief, and I gave her whatever she wanted, and I gorged myself on beauty and pleasure, gorged myself on it. I cried whenever I wanted to. I gave my grief my full attention, and did that for several days, all weekend. And it didn't go away, of course, but because I gave it time and focus, it became a part of me, like a scar. I have never experienced grief just disappearing or going away. It just becomes part of you, and a scar that I'm happy and honored to wear because it means I knew her and she knew me. And I'm honored to wear that scar. And I hope it never fades. As this is what I have left of her, that and the memories of her immense fondness for cats. She would have loved y'all's cats. And she had a wicked sense of humor. She was so funny. She was so smart. And she was a talented artist. And I want to tell the story of how we all came together today. A side note, if you are making friends with your own grief, and perhaps you're under an active grief, I have an episode way back from the beginning of this podcast, episode 6. It's on operating under active grief. This is right after I lost my 3rd pregnancy, and it was pretty advanced. It was 14 weeks along, so content warning after I've already said it, but I will link that in the show notes. It's not an episode about baby loss. It's an episode about grief, but that is there for you, should you ever need it. Okay, and now I'm gonna tell you a story. So throw way back to 2002. I am in my sophomore year of college at UNC Asheville. I had 2 freshman years because, yay, freedom and beer. I didn't do shit my first freshman year, and it was fine. I made it up. I got my GPA back up. It's all good. So it was my 3rd year of college, but we're going to call that my sophomore year. I already had a Mel, and if you don't know what a Mel is a very dear and old friend of mine, a brethren of mine, really. Friend is not a good enough word, and I've had them on the podcast. They're a naturopathic doctor in the Pacific Northwest, and we recorded a fantastic interview. I need to have them back on again, actually. I'm going to link that in the show notes as well if you want to listen to the podcast with Mel. We were already very close, and we were dance partners as well. We created, 8 duets during the years that we had together in college. So I was with Mel in the cafeteria, and we were leaving and putting our trays on the thing, and she saw a flyer that was put up that said "Witches Wanted" for a coven. And we were like, okay, we are interested in this. And we talked about it beforehand, and I remember personally I felt pretty I felt defensive, but I knew it was just insecurity. And I felt possessive of Mel, which is just a thing that I did. Like, well, you can't have this one. This one's mine. Normal young adult insecure behavior. But they called a meeting. A meeting and a dorm room was given on this flyer. And we went to the meeting. There were, 8 or 9 young women in this room. And the one that had put up the flyer was Kim, and another Coven sister of mine, Bethany. I remember her speaking first. I think it was her, and saying, this is sort of me and Kim's brainchild, and we just wanted to see who else was out there because we would like to create a formal coven and practice together. And of the young people in that room, it was 5 of us that ended up forming a coven. And if anyone tells you you need 7 or 9 or 13, tell them to go to hell. You do not have to meet some arbitrary requirement to form a coven. I think my Dalta Angel gave me a beautiful definition, which was a coven is a group of people who come together out of enthusiastic consent. I love that definition. So, long story short, there were 5 of us: me, Mel, Shannon, Bethany, and Kim. And we decided to hold our first ritual on Samhain. That's Halloween for newcomers. Hello, welcome. And we're going to have our first ritual and do a formal bonding ceremony. So we were doing location scouting, we were looking at campsites, and then we just sort of realized that I lived in a little bungalow in in North Asheville, just outside the city limits in Woodfin. And I lived there with my two best friends who incidentally hated each other. I didn't realize that. I was just blissfully unaware. Whatever. The three of us lived in a cute little bungalow, and it was at the base of a mountain and sort of on a cul-de-sac, so there wasn't a lot of traffic. And there was a big, garden yard, and the yard went to the base of the mountain where it disappeared into thick, dark woods. And there was a circle in that patch of the yard, and we were like, well, we should just do that. So yeah, that was the obvious choice. So Samhain arrived, and we all came to my house and ventured into the backyard carrying, firewood. We dug a little fire pit. Or did we dig it, or did we just light some things on fire? I don't remember. This is 2002, y'all. 2002. That's a number of years ago. Some of my memories are hazy, and I wonder if any of my brethren will disagree with my account. I hope so, because that will be an interesting conversation. I'm sure that they would remember things that I don't. But I do have a very distinct memory of after we lit the fire and we cast the circle, Kim went into the house to go to the bathroom or something and just found a random cat and scooped it up in her arms. I never saw her have fear of a cat. She just picked up this random cat, carried it straight into the circle, and said, "Hey, look, I found a familiar." It's like the foreshadowing for the crazy cat lady persona that she would wear so elegantly later on in life. And I'm going to keep some of the particulars of our ritual private, but I will tell you that what we decided to do to make our bond official was to braid our hair together and bury it in the earth. So we did that, and we finished our ritual and, broke for wine and food, and we were so happy and just enjoying each other so much. And I will tell you that after we opened that circle, and even though I had only just met most of these people, I only had known Mel before. And even though I had just met the others, it hurt to watch them leave. It was immediate. As soon as we opened the circle, there was this sense of gravity to the five of us, like a pull. And the others felt it too. We talked about it. And watching them leave that night, because of course it was my house, I stayed where I was, and watching them leave hurt. I missed them immediately. I barely knew these people. But that gravity was palpable, and we talked about it in the weeks that followed, because we'd always be delighted to see each other in ones or twos or threes, but it was only when the five of us were together that the gravity just sort of settled in and thrummed happily. It was like the purring of a cosmic cat. It was like being home, and it was a relief when the five of us were together, and it was immediate. And that taught me a lot about magic and how it must be handled with respect. When you put that kind of intention and attention on something with five other beings in agreement and in mutual consent and conduct a ritual, that's real. And the effects are real. magic is real. And while no, I don't believe in being afraid of it, I do believe in treating it with the respect that you would treat anything with that amount of robust veracity. I think the last time the five of us were together is when Bethany graduated from law school. Largely it was my fault because I moved out west, and I was far away, and I was in Australia, I think, performing when Kim got married, so I did not get to see Kim get married. But yeah, that would have been the last time the five of us were together at Bethany's law school graduation. I'm so glad that we had that. And, Kim wasn't part of my daily life. Like, we didn't talk every day. Sometimes we didn't talk for a year. And yet, what I felt when I learned that she died was like a part of me wasn't gone, but had just sort of dissolved into the unknown. Like, I can still feel her. And that is the effect of what we did together. Like, this is not a random person that you were close with in college and then drifted apart and went about your lives. No, this is your sister forever. Forever. And I'm so grateful to her that she put up that flyer with Bethany, and I'm so grateful to her because even the last time we all five talked, and we hadn't all five talked in a really long time, like years, but she just sent a message and she's like, hey, I want to have a Zoom call. Like, let's hang out. And we did. And so not only did she bring us together at the beginning, she brought us together at the end. And of course, she had no intention of dying. And we didn't know, but you bet your ass, we're glad that we took that call. So Kim, my sister, safe travels, and come and visit anytime. We would all love to hear from you. And thank you for one of the last acts of loving service that you ever did for us was put us back in touch because we've been texting. You better believe it. So this has been a podcast in honor of Kim Barto, our mistress of fire, and also a story about how magic is real and can be palpable. I'm looking at the time, but before I go, I would like to mention that one of my Coven sisters, Bethany, gives amazing astrology readings, not just for people, but for like events, weddings, businesses. If your business has a chart, and she's really amazing at it. So I'm going to put a link in the show notes if that interests you. Highly recommend. She really knows her stuff, and I'd love to share her with you. Thank you so much for listening and for sitting with me and letting me talk into your ear holes about a love of mine. If you have requests for future episodes, you can reach me always on Instagram at Rachel Strickland Creative or on Patreon at Rachel Strickland Creative. This podcast is powered by Patreon, so extra velvet hugs, truly, to my patrons for making not just this podcast possible, but for all of the work that I do. I could not do it in this way without you, so thank you for standing with me. Until next time, my friends, tell your friends that you love them, and don't go back to sleep.